The bouncer's hand shot out like a steel gate, blocking Elena Martinez from the velvet rope that separated the Paradise Lounge's VIP section from the regular crowd. Her worn leather boots and simple black dress might as well have been rags next to the designer gowns and Italian suits flowing past her. "Wrong section, lady," he growled, his eyes scanning her like she was a security threat. One socialite in sequins laughed. "Looks like someone got lost on their way to the staff entrance." Elena pulled out her phone, her calm demeanor never wavering as chaos erupted around her. What happened next would leave every witness questioning everything they thought they knew about power, privilege, and the quiet woman they just tried to humiliate. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Paradise Lounge stood like a jewel in Miami's nightlife crown, its Art Deco facade bathed in purple and gold lights that painted the night sky. Inside, crystal chandeliers cast rainbow fragments across marble floors, polished to mirror perfection. The air was thick with expensive perfume and the kind of confidence that only serious money could buy. Every corner whispered exclusivity, from the hand-carved mahogany bar to the private booths upholstered in Italian leather. The VIP section occupied the entire second floor, a glass-enclosed sanctuary where the city's elite played their power games behind tinted windows. Elena Martinez approached the entrance with measured steps, her appearance a stark contrast to the glamour surrounding her. At 34, she carried herself with quiet dignity, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail that emphasized her sharp cheekbones and warm brown eyes. Her outfit was deliberately understated, a plain black dress that had seen better days, comfortable leather boots worn smooth at the heels, and a canvas messenger bag slung across her shoulder. No jewelry adorned her fingers or neck. No designer labels announced her worth. She looked exactly like what she intended to look, like nobody special. The main entrance was a carnival of wealth on display, a red carpet stretched from the curb to the golden doors, flanked by photographers whose flashes turned the night into a strobe-lit spectacle. Women in gowns that cost more than most cars posed for pictures, while men in tailored suits checked in their Rolexes impatiently. The line for regular admission snaked around the building, hopeful faces pressed against the barrier, but Eleanor walked past them all, heading straight for the VIP entrance on the side of the building. Marcus Chen, head of VIP security, spotted her immediately. His 6'4" frame filled his custom-tailored black suit, an earpiece coiled behind his ear like a snake ready to strike. He'd been working high-end security for 15 years, and his ability to spot problems was legendary among Miami's nightclub circuit. Elena registered on his radar instantly. Everything about her screamed, "Wrong place, wrong person." "Excuse me, miss." Marcus intercepted her 10 feet from the VIP elevator, his voice professionally cold. "This entrance is for VIP guests only. General admission is around front." Eleanor met his gaze steadily. "I'm aware. I need to access the VIP section." A ripple of amusement passed through the small crowd gathered near the elevator. Brittany Lawson, heir to a pharmaceutical fortune, paused mid-selfie to stare. Her diamond necklace caught the light as she turned to her friend, stage whispering loud enough for everyone to hear. "Is she serious? Look at those boots. I think my housekeeper has the same ones." The friend, Sofia Vega, daughter of a real estate mogul, giggled behind her manicured hand. "Maybe she's applying for a job. The kitchen entrance is in the back, sweetie." More people began to notice the scene unfolding. A tech CEO in a limited edition Supreme jacket pulled out his phone, sensing content gold. Two models from a recent Fashion Week show exchanged knowing looks, their lips curving into identical smirks. The atmosphere shifted from casual dismissal to active entertainment. The elite had found their evening's amusement. Elena remained unmoved by the growing audience. I have business in the VIP section, she stated simply. Marcus crossed his arms, his patience thinning. Ma'am, VIP access requires either a membership card, a reservation, or being on tonight's guest list. Do you have any of those? I don't need them, Elena replied, reaching for her bag. The movement made Marcus tense, his hand moving subtly toward his hip where his radio was clipped. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step away from this entrance. You're causing a disruption. By now, the scene had attracted more attention. Ricardo Santos, the club's operations manager, emerged from the elevator, his Armani suit pristine, his smile practiced from years of handling difficult situations. He'd been watching the security feeds from his office and decided to intervene before the situation escalated. Is there a problem here, Marcus? Ricardo's voice carried the smooth assurance of someone used to defusing situations. This lady claims she needs VIP access but has no credentials, Marcus reported, professional but firm. Ricardo turned to Elena, his smile never wavering but his eyes conducting a rapid assessment. Her clothes were clean but clearly budget range. Her bag looked like something from a thrift store, and she wore no visible signs of wealth. His conclusion was instant. I'm sorry, miss, but our VIP section has strict admission policies. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in our main lounge. We have excellent music tonight. The crowd had grown larger, phones raised, recording every moment. Someone had started a live stream, the caption reading, "When Walmart thinks it's Gucci." The comments were already flooding in, each one more cruel than the last. Elena's expression remained serene. I appreciate your concern, but I need to be in the VIP section. There's a situation that requires my attention. Brittany stepped forward, her Louboutin heels clicking against the marble. Honey, the only situation here is you embarrassing yourself. Do you even know what the cover charge is for VIP? It's probably more than your car payment. If she even has a car, Sophia added, earning laughs from the growing crowd. The live stream viewer count was climbing rapidly. Someone recognized a few of the people in frame. Children of senators, a famous DJ, the daughter of a Fortune 500 CEO. The contrast between their obvious wealth and Elena's simple appearance made for compelling content. Look, Ricardo's patience was wearing thin, his professional smile starting to crack. I don't want to have to call the police, but you're trespassing on private property. This area is reserved for our premium guests only. Elena reached into her bag again, prompting Marcus to step forward protectively. I'm just getting my phone, she assured him, pulling out a basic smartphone, its screen slightly cracked at the corner. Oh my God, is that an iPhone 8? Someone in the crowd gasped mockingly. They still make those. The laughter that followed was sharp, cutting through the night air like broken glass. More phones appeared, more cameras focused. On Elena's weathered phone case, her scuffed boots, the slight fray at the hem of her dress. Listen, lady, Marcus said, his professional veneer slipping. I don't know what game you're playing, but it ends now. Either you leave voluntarily or I escort you out. Your choice. The crowd pressed closer, hungry for the confrontation. These were people who lived for drama, who spent fortunes chasing the next thrill, the next story they could tell at brunches and board meetings. A nobody trying to crash their exclusive world. This was better than anything Netflix could offer. Elena looked at her phone screen, typed something quickly, then looked back up at Marcus. I understand you're doing your job, but I really do need to go upstairs. There's a problem with the only problem here is you. A new voice cut through the tension. Derek Walsh, a trust fund kid known for throwing money at problems until they disappeared, pushed his way to the front. His Gucci loafers gleamed under the entrance lights. Some people just don't know their place. Security, why is this still a conversation? Get her out of here. The live stream chat exploded with fire emojis and laughing faces. Comments scrolled by at lightning speed. Drag her. Security about to go WWE on her. When delusion meets reality, Ricardo nodded to Marcus. Remove her, gently but firmly. We don't need this kind of disruption. Marcus reached for Elena's arm, his grip professional but insistent. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Ma'am, you need to leave now. Elena didn't resist, but she didn't move either. Before you do that, you might want to check with Dominic. Ricardo's eyebrows rose. Dominic? Dominic Rivers, the general manager, Elena clarified, still typing on her phone. The crowd scoffed collectively. Brittany rolled her eyes so hard they might have fallen out. Now she's name-dropping staff. This is getting pathetic. Dominic doesn't handle door situations, Ricardo said dismissively, and he certainly doesn't override VIP security protocols for... He gestured vaguely at Elena's appearance. Random people off the street. The insults were flying faster now, each one aimed at Elena's appearance, her presumed poverty, her audacity to think she belonged among them. Someone started a hashtag, VIP fail. It was already trending locally. She probably saw Dominic's name. On the website, someone speculated loudly, thinks she can bluff her way in. Maybe she's a stalker, another voice suggested. Should we be worried? More like delusional, Sophia declared, examining her perfect nails. Some people watch too much reality TV and think they can fake their way into our world. Elena finished typing and looked up, her composure uncracked despite the wall of hostility surrounding her. I've messaged Dominic. He should be down shortly. Ricardo laughed outright now, his professional mask completely gone. You messaged the general manager? On what? His personal number? Lady, I've worked here for 3 years and I don't even have Dominic's personal contact. He doesn't give it out to staff, let alone. He waved his hand dismissively at her. The crowd was in full mockery mode now. Someone started a betting pool on how long before security physically removed her. The live stream had attracted viewers. From across the city, people tuning in to watch what they assumed would be a spectacular downfall. $5 says she runs crying, Derek announced, pulling out his wallet and waving a $100 bill. Any takers? I'll take that bet, a voice called from the back. I say security has to carry her out. Elena stood perfectly still in the eye of this social hurricane, her phone held loosely in her hand. The contrast between her calm and the crowd's cruel energy created a tension that even the most jaded socialites could feel. Marcus had seen enough. His hand closed more firmly on Elena's arm. Ma'am, final warning. Leave now or I'll have to... The elevator dinged. The sound cut through the noise like a judge's gavel. The golden doors slid open with mechanical precision, and out stepped Dominic Rivers himself. His salt and pepper hair was slightly disheveled, as if he'd rushed down from his office. His usually impeccable suit jacket was unbuttoned, his face a mask of barely controlled panic. The crowd fell silent, their mockery dying in their throats as they watched the general manager's eyes scan the scene frantically before landing on Elena. Ms. Martinez! Dominic's voice cracked with relief and something that sounded suspiciously like fear. He rushed forward, nearly tripping over his own feet in his haste. Thank God you're here. I've been trying to handle the situation upstairs, but it's completely out of control. The silence that followed was absolute. Every phone remained raised, but now their owners stood frozen, trying to process what they were witnessing. Marcus's hand fell away from Elena's arm as if it had been burned. Ricardo's mouth opened and closed soundlessly, his mind struggling to reconcile what he was seeing with what he thought he knew. Dominic, we were just... She doesn't have VIP credentials. Dominic turned to Ricardo with a look that could have stripped paint. Credentials? Credentials? His voice rose to near hysteria. "This is Elena Martinez." The name meant nothing to most of the crowd, but Dominic's reaction was impossible to misinterpret. This was not how management treated random crashers or delusional wannabes. "I don't understand," Ricardo stammered, his face draining of color. "She's not on any of our VIP lists. She's not—" "Of course she's not on the VIP list," Dominic interrupted, his hands shaking as he gestured wildly. "She doesn't need to be on any list. She is the list. She owns the list. She owns the entire—" He caught himself, glancing at Elena quickly. Elena raised a calming hand. "It's all right, Dominic. There seems to have been some confusion. What's the situation upstairs?" The crowd watched in stunned silence as Dominic ran a hand through his hair, further disturbing its usually perfect arrangement. "The water feature in the crystal room is malfunctioning. It's flooding the entire east wing of the VIP section. The control system is completely unresponsive and the emergency shut off. We can't access it without your authorization codes." Brittany's phone trembled in her hand. The live stream chat had gone quiet, viewers as confused as the crowd surrounding Elena. Someone typed, "Plot twist," but even that seemed inadequate. "How bad is the flooding?" Elena asked, already moving toward the elevator. "Bad," Dominic followed her, wringing his hands. "We've got water seeping into the Dynasty Lounge. The vintage wine collection is at risk, and if it reaches the main electrical panels—" They reached the elevator, and Dominic frantically pressed the call button. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, their earlier mockery replaced by dawning horror. Ricardo looked like he might be sick. "Wait," Derek's voice cut through the confusion, his earlier bravado replaced by uncertainty. "What do you mean, authorization codes? Who is she?" Dominic turned back, his face a mixture of disbelief and exasperation. "Who is she? Who is she?" He looked at the crowd, at their phones still recording, at their designer clothes and entitled expressions. "This is Elena Martinez. She designed the entire Paradise Lounge. Every security system, every architectural feature, He gestured helplessly. "Everything you see here exists because of her." The elevator arrived, and Elena stepped inside. "Dominic, we need to move quickly. The crystal room's water feature is connected to the main building's fire suppression system. If the malfunction triggers a full activation, the entire club could flood," Dominic finished, his face going even paler. As the elevator doors began to close, Elena turned to face the crowd one last time. Her expression remained calm, but something in her eyes made several people step back involuntarily. "Ricardo," she said quietly, "please ensure our guests are comfortable while we handle this situation. And Marcus?" The security chief straightened instinctively. "Good job being thorough. Though next time, perhaps ask for a name before making assumptions." The doors closed with a soft whisper, leaving behind a crowd of Miami's elite standing in stunned silence, their phones still raised, but their owners too shocked to speak. The live stream chat exploded with theories and questions, but none came close to the truth that was about to unfold. Somewhere in the club's depths, water continued to flow where it shouldn't. Mechanical systems struggled against their programming, and the woman they'd all dismissed as nobody prepared to save the very venue they'd tried to bar her from entering. The elevator ascended through the building's core, a journey that felt like passing between two different worlds. Dominic stood rigid beside Elena, his hands clasped in front of him, trying desperately to compose himself. The numbers blinked, past, second floor, third floor, each level bringing them closer to whatever chaos awaited in the VIP section. "It started about 20 minutes ago." Dominic broke the tense silence, his voice still carrying that edge of panic. "The water and feature in the crystal room just erupted. We've never seen anything like it. The streams that are supposed to flow gently down the glass walls are shooting sideways. The floor fountains are geysering, and the emergency shutoff isn't responding." Elena's fingers flew across her phone screen, accessing systems that appeared to be written in a complex code. The crystal room's feature runs on integrated pressure sensors. If there's a malfunction, it could be reading atmospheric changes as commands to increase water flow. Now that's exactly what our head of maintenance said, but he can't access the control systems. Everything requires authorization codes that only. Dominic trailed off, glancing at Elena with a mixture of awe and embarrassment. Well, that only you have, apparently. The elevator doors opened onto the VIP floor, and immediately the sound of rushing water filled the air. The normally pristine hallway was chaos. Staff members rushed back and forth with mops and buckets, their usually impeccable uniforms soaked through. Expensive artwork was being hastily removed from walls, and the thick carpets squelched under their feet. "Ms. Martinez!" A maintenance worker in a drenched uniform practically ran toward them. "Thank God you're here. I'm James, head of building maintenance. I've tried everything I know, but the system won't accept any of our override codes." Elena was already moving toward the crystal room, her worn boots splashing through the spreading water. "Show me what you've attempted so far, James, and someone get me a direct link to the building's central management system." They rounded the corner and faced the crystal room, Paradise Lounge's crown jewel. The space was designed to be an immersive experience, with walls of flowing water creating curtains of liquid crystal that separated different seating areas. Fiber optic lights within the water features were supposed to create a gentle, ethereal glow. Instead, the room looked like the inside of a hurricane. Water shot horizontally from what should have been vertical streams. The floor fountains, designed to create gentle, bubbling pools, were sending jets of water 15 feet into the air. The sophisticated lighting system was shorting out, creating strobing effects that made the chaos even more surreal. Wealthy patrons huddled in the few dry corners, their designer clothes soaked, their expensive phones ruined, their entitled attitudes washed away by the very real crisis unfolding around them. "Everyone needs to evacuate to the Platinum Lounge," Elena ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos with surprising authority. "That room is on a separate system." "But our things," a woman in a ruined Versace dress started to protest, "will be replaced or cleaned at the establishment's expense," Elena finished firmly. "Right now, we need this room clear." As the soaked patrons filed out, Elena approached the main control panel, hidden behind what was supposed to be a decorative waterfall. The panel was encrypted, its touchscreen displaying a series of rotating geometric patterns that seemed to shift and change with each passing second. "I've never seen security like this," James admitted, water dripping from his maintenance cap. "We can't even get past the first authentication screen." Elena studied the patterns for a moment, then began inputting a complex sequence that involved not just touching the screen, but tracing specific shapes in precise order. The geometric patterns began to slow, then align into a recognizable interface. A new screen appeared. "Creator access recognized. Welcome back, architect." "Architect," Dominic whispered, watching over her shoulder. Elena didn't answer, her attention focused on the diagnostic data now flooding the screen. Her fingers moved with practiced efficiency, navigating through layers of code and system architecture that made James's head spin. "The pressure sensors aren't malfunctioning," she announced. "Someone's been tampering with the system. These readings show manual overrides were input about 30 minutes ago, but not from any recognized staff account." "That's impossible," Dominic protested. "Only senior management has access to those systems, and we'd need your level of clearance to make changes this significant." Elena's eyes narrowed as she continued to work. "Not necessarily," Someone discovered a backdoor in the system, one I left there intentionally as a failsafe, but it was supposed to be impossible to find without the original architectural blueprints. She pulled up another screen, this one showing a complex network diagram of the entire Paradise Lounge. Every system was interconnected. Water features, lighting, security, climate control, all flowing back to a central hub that pulsed like a digital heart. The Paradise Lounge isn't just a building, Elena explained as she worked. It's a living system. Every element is designed to work in harmony. Someone's trying to create deliberate disharmony, and they're using my own failsafes to do it. Down in the main lobby, the crowd of elite witnesses remained frozen in place, their phones still recording everything through the security feeds that someone had helpfully activated on the lobby screens. The narrative they'd constructed about the poor woman crashing their exclusive venue was crumbling with each revelation. Is she actually controlling the building? Brittany asked weakly, her earlier mockery forgotten. Ricardo, still pale from his earlier realization, nodded slowly. I think she is the building. Back in the crystal room, Elena had accessed deeper levels of the system. The screen now showed real-time data flows throughout the entire structure. There, she pointed to an anomaly in the data stream. Someone's running a program that's essentially telling the water features to operate at maximum pressure while bypassing all safety protocols. Can you stop it? Dominic asked urgently. Water was now seeping under the door despite their efforts to contain it. I can do better than that, Elena replied, her fingers dancing across the screen. I can trace it back to its source. She initiated a trace protocol, and the screen filled with cascading lines of code. The digital trail wound through the building's systems like a snake, leading from the crystal room's water features through various security checkpoints. And finally, the executive office, Elena announced. Someone's been running this from your terminal, Dominic. Dominic's face went ashen. That's impossible. I've been in meetings all evening. I only came down to my office when the crisis started. Elena's expression remained neutral. Who else has access to your office? Just my assistant, Rebecca, and... Dominic paused, his eyes widening. And the consultant we hired last month to evaluate our systems, Alexander Vance. He said he was with Sterling Security Consulting. Let me guess, Elena said, not looking up from her work. He was particularly interested in the building's integrated systems, asked a lot of questions about the original design. How did you know? Because there is no Sterling Security Consulting, Elena replied calmly. And Alexander Vance is a name I recognize. He's been trying to reverse engineer my architectural designs for years. She pulled up another screen, this one showing security footage from Dominic's office. The timestamp was from an hour ago. The footage showed a well-dressed man accessing Dominic's computer, plugging in an external device and typing rapidly. He's a corporate saboteur, Elena explained. He targets unique architectural systems, creates crises, then offers to fix them for exorbitant fees. He must have discovered that Paradise Lounge was one of my designs and saw an opportunity. But why target the water features specifically? James asked. Because water damage is devastating and immediate, Elena answered. It forces quick decisions, panic payments, and in a place like this. She gestured around the flooded crystal room. Where every square foot is worth millions, owners will pay anything to stop the damage. Down in the lobby, the revelation was spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Social media was exploding with the unfolding drama. The Paradise Lounge mystery was trending globally, and several tech blogs had picked up the story of the mysterious architect who seemed to control buildings with her phone. Elena continued working, her fingers now creating new code in real time. I'm going to implement a system-wide reset, but not before I create a digital signature that will identify our saboteur's exact location in the building. The screens in the crystal room flickered, and suddenly a building-wide schematic appeared with a pulsing red dot. "He's still here," Elena announced. "5th floor, northwest corner. That's the Sky Garden," Dominic finished. "It's a private terrace we rent out for exclusive events." "There's a corporate party there tonight," Elena nodded. "He's probably maintaining a connection to monitor his handiwork. James, I need you to go to the basement and manually engage backup protocol 7. Dominic, contact security, but tell them to wait for my signal. I want to make sure we have everything we need to not just stop him, but expose him." As the two men hurried off to their tasks, Elena remained at the control panel, her fingers moving with surgical precision. She wasn't just stopping the flood now. She was rewriting the very code that controlled the building, adding new layers of security that would prevent this from ever happening again. The water features began to calm. The horizontal jets weakened, then stopped. The floor fountains reduced to gentle bubbles. Throughout the VIP section, the sound of rushing water faded to a controlled trickle, then silence. But Elena wasn't finished. She accessed the building's communication system and opened a channel to every screen, every speaker, every connected device in Paradise Lounge. In the lobby, the gathered crowd watched as their phones, the wall screens, and even the digital art displays all synchronized to show the same feed. "Attention, Paradise Lounge guests and staff," Elena's voice rang out through the building. "This is Elena Martinez, chief architect and systems designer of this establishment. We've experienced a deliberate act of sabotage tonight, orchestrated by an individual currently in the Sky Garden. For your safety, please remain in your current locations while security addresses the situation." In the Sky Garden, Alexander Vance froze mid-conversation with a group of tech executives. His sophisticated tablet, still connected to the building's systems through his illegal access point, suddenly displayed his own face via the terrace security camera. "Mr. Vance," Elena's voice continued, now addressing him directly through his own device, "your attempt to sabotage Paradise Lounge has failed. Your digital signature has been recorded, your methods documented, and your location confirmed. Security is en route." The tablet in Vance's hands began displaying a countdown. You have 30 seconds before I release everything I know about your operations to federal authorities and every major security firm in the country. Unless, of course, you'd prefer to explain yourself." Back in the crystal room, Elena watched through the security feeds as Vance tried to run, only to find that the electronic locks on all exits from the Sky Garden had engaged. The sophisticated saboteur was trapped by the very systems he'd tried to exploit. The crowd in the lobby watched in fascination as the drama played out on their screens. This was better than any reality show. This was real-time justice, served with technological precision. 20 seconds, Mr. Vance, Elena announced calmly. On the screens, they could see Vance frantically typing on his tablet, trying to regain control. But Elena had already locked him out of every system. His own tools had been turned against him. 15 seconds. Security guards appeared in the Sky Garden, surrounding Vance, but they waited, following Elena's instructions. 10 seconds. Vance finally stopped typing. He looked directly into the security camera, his expression a mixture of defeat and grudging respect. 5 seconds. "All right," Vance's voice came through the speakers. "All right, I admit it. I tried to sabotage the building, but I didn't know. I didn't realize who designed it. I thought it was just another high-end club with standard security systems." Elena's voice remained calm. "You thought you could exploit what you assumed. was mediocre design. Instead, you encountered a system built by someone who anticipated people like you. The countdown stopped at 2 seconds. On every screen in the building, a detailed dossier appeared. Vance's real identity, his previous crimes, his methods, his associates. Elena had compiled everything in the few minutes since discovering the breach. "The authorities have been notified," Elena announced. "Mr. Vance, you're about to become very famous, but not in the way you intended." As security led Vance away, the screens throughout Paradise Lounge switched to a new display, an architectural schematic of the building that gradually built itself layer by layer, system by system, each element clicking into place with perfect precision. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elena's voice continued, "what you're seeing is the true Paradise Lounge. Not just a venue, but an integrated system designed to be both beautiful and secure. Every wall, every feature, every digital pathway was created with intention. The water features that nearly flooded us tonight, they're connected to a conservation system that recycles and purifies every drop. The security systems that caught our saboteur, they learn and adapt with each potential threat." In the lobby, the crowd that had mocked Elena stood transfixed. Their phones captured every word, every image, as the building itself revealed its secrets. "The question you're all probably asking," Elena continued, "is who am I? Why was I walking in here dressed like I was dressed? The answer is simple. I built this place not as a monument to exclusivity, but as a testing ground for systems that could revolutionize how we think about architecture. I dress simply because I prefer to observe how my creations function in reality, not from behind a desk or a VIP rope." The screens now showed a montage of buildings around the world, museums, hospitals, community centers, all bearing the same elegant integration of form and function. Paradise Lounge is just one of many. Each building, a design is created to serve its community while pushing the boundaries of what architecture can achieve. Sometimes that means water features that can detect and prevent their own malfunctions. Sometimes it means security systems that can identify threats before they materialize. Always, it means creating spaces that are more than just structures. They're living systems that adapt and protect. The water in the crystal room had completely receded now, the advanced drainage systems Elena had designed working exactly as intended. The room began to dry itself using integrated climate controls, the damage far less severe than it could have been thanks to the building's protective protocols. "Tonight's incident has shown us something important," Elena concluded. "True security isn't about keeping people out. It's about understanding how systems work together, anticipating problems, and building solutions that protect everyone." Mr. Vance thought he was attacking a building. He was actually engaging with a system designed to defend itself. As her words ended, the screens returned to their normal displays. But something fundamental had shifted in the Paradise Lounge. The building itself seemed different now. Not just a playground for the wealthy, but a sophisticated organism with its own intelligence, its own purpose. Down in the lobby, Dominic approached the crowd of elite guests who had witnessed everything. His clothes were still damp, but his posture had straightened, his earlier panic replaced by something like pride. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "I apologize for tonight's disruption. As you've discovered, Paradise Lounge is more than just a venue. It's a technological masterpiece created by one of the world's most innovative architects. Ms. Martinez has requested that I inform you all that your evening will be complimentary, and any damaged personal items will be replaced or restored at our expense." But the crowd wasn't thinking about their ruined designer clothes anymore. They were processing what they had witnessed, not just the drama of the sabotage attempt, but the revelation of who Elena Martinez really was. Ricardo stepped forward, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Ms. Martinez, I can't apologize enough for how we treated you." Through the speakers, Elena's voice responded with quiet grace. "Your actions tonight were based on assumptions. Perhaps this experience will help you reconsider those assumptions in the future." The architect herself emerged from the elevator minutes later. She hadn't changed clothes, still wearing her simple black dress and worn boots, but somehow she looked different now. Or perhaps it was the way everyone else saw her that had transformed. Marcus, the security chief, who had tried to physically remove her, approached with hesitant steps. "Ma'am, I want to apologize for—" Elena raised a hand, stopping him. "You were doing your job, Marcus. The failure wasn't in your attention to security. It was in the system that taught you to judge threats based on appearance rather than behavior. That's something we need to address in our training protocols." Around them, the crowd of Miami's elite had gone quiet. Their phones were still recording, but now they captured something different. The quiet dignity of a woman who had revolutionized their understanding of power and privilege. Brittany Lawson, the pharmaceutical heiress who had mocked Elena's boots, stepped forward. Her designer dress was stained with water, her perfect makeup smudged, but her expression had transformed from contempt to something approaching humility. I said terrible things," she managed. "About your clothes, your phone. I'm so sorry." Elena's brown eyes held no anger, only understanding. "You saw what you were trained to see. The question is, what will you choose to see going forward?" The question hung in the air, not just for Brittany, but for everyone present. The night had revealed more than just Elena's identity. It had exposed the shallow foundations of their judgment, the fragility of their assumptions about worth and belonging. In the days that followed, the story would spread far beyond Miami's nightlife scene. Tech blogs would dissect Elena's architectural innovations. Business journals would analyze her approach to integrated systems. Social media would transform the hashtag #VPFail into systems thinking. But in that moment, in the quiet lobby of Paradise Lounge, something more profound was happening. The building's lights had shifted to a softer glow. The water features throughout the venue had resumed their gentle flows, and the very air seemed to hum with possibility. The weeks following the Paradise Lounge incident transformed Miami's social landscape in ways no one could have predicted. Elena Martinez had returned to her normal routine, if designing revolutionary buildings could ever be called normal, but the ripple effects of that night continued to spread through the city's elite circles. Derek Walsh, the trust fund kid who had demanded Elena's removal, found himself sitting in a coffee shop 3 weeks later, staring at his laptop screen. The video, titled "The Night Everything Changed," had garnered over 10 million views. His own words, "Some people just don't know their place," had become a meme used ironically whenever someone underestimated another person. His family's PR team had advised him to lay low, but Derek had other plans. He spotted Elena entering the same coffee shop, still dressed in her characteristic simple style. Jeans, a plain white t-shirt, and those same worn leather boots. His stomach clenched with familiar shame, but he stood up anyway. "Ms. Martinez?" His voice cracked slightly. Elena turned, her brown eyes showing recognition but no hostility. "Mr. Walsh, how are you?" "I've been better," he admitted, gesturing to his laptop. "I've been watching the footage, over and over, trying to understand how I became that person." Elena considered him for a moment, then surprised him by sitting down at his table. "What conclusions have you reached?" Derek ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that no longer carried its usual arrogance. "That I've never actually earned anything. That I've been using my family's money as a substitute for actual worth. That night, you showed me what real power looks like. It's not about what you wear or what's in your bank account. It's about what you can create, what problems you can solve." Elena nodded slowly. And what do you plan to do with this realization? I've enrolled in architectural engineering classes, Derek said, his eyes lighting up for the first time. I want to understand how buildings work, how systems integrate. I want to create something meaningful, not just consume what others have built. Elena smiled, the same quiet smile that had captivated the Paradise Lounge crowd. The first step to building something new is understanding what came before. I'd be happy to recommend some foundational texts. Across town, Brittany Lawson sat in a boardroom at her family's pharmaceutical company. The meeting was about expanding their research facilities, and for the first time in her life, she was actually paying attention to the architectural proposals. This design is inefficient, she said, surprising everyone, including herself. The laboratory wings are isolated from each other, creating redundant systems and wasted resources. What if we integrated them like Paradise Lounge? Her father raised an eyebrow. Since when do you care about building efficiency? Since I learned that buildings can be more than just containers, Brittany replied. They can be living systems that enhance the work being done inside them. She pulled up Elena's public portfolio on the presentation screen. Look at these hospital designs, the way the patient care areas flow into research wings, how natural light is maximized, without compromising sterile environments. This is what we should be aiming for. The board members exchanged glances. This was not the Brittany they knew, the socialite who treated board meetings as photo opportunities. This was someone who had been fundamentally changed by witnessing what true innovation looked like. Back at Paradise Lounge, Dominic Rivers stood in his office, looking out over the club's main floor. The Crystal Room had been fully restored, its water features now more popular than ever. Visitors came not just for the exclusive atmosphere, but to witness the intelligent building in action. Tour groups of architecture students had become common, all wanting to understand how Elena had created a structure that could defend itself. Marcus, the security chief, knocked on the doorframe. "Sir, the new training protocols are ready for review." Dominic turned, noting how Marcus carried himself differently now. The security chief had revamped the entire entrance screening process, focusing on behavioral analysis rather than appearance-based judgments. "How's the implementation going?" Dominic asked. "Better than expected. The staff is embracing the changes. That incident with Ms. Martinez, it opened everyone's eyes. We've stopped 3 actual security threats this month. People who looked the part but had malicious intent. And we've welcomed dozens of innovators and creators who might have been turned away under our old system." Down in the lobby, Ricardo was giving a tour to a group of hospitality management students. The Paradise Lounge incident, as it's now known, fundamentally changed how we approach customer service, he explained. "We learned that true exclusivity isn't about keeping people out. It's about recognizing value in all its forms." A student raised her hand. "But how do you maintain luxury standards while being inclusive?" Ricardo smiled. "By understanding that luxury isn't about price tags. It's about experience, innovation, and respect. Ms. Martinez taught us that someone in simple clothes might be the very person who elevates your entire establishment." Meanwhile, Elena herself sat in a community center in Overtown, one of Miami's historically underserved neighborhoods. She was meeting with local teenagers, showing them architectural software on tablets she had donated to the center. "Architecture isn't just about fancy buildings," she told them. "It's about solving problems. Your community faces challenges with flooding during hurricane season, right?" The teens nodded, their eyes focused on the screens showing 3D building models. "So we design with that in mind. Elevated structures, integrated drainage, community spaces that double as storm shelters. Every challenge is an opportunity to innovate." A young girl named Maria raised her hand. Ms. Martinez, is it true you got kicked out of Paradise Lounge for how you were dressed? Elena laughed, the sound warm and genuine. Almost. But that experience taught everyone something valuable, including me. It showed that we all carry biases that need examining. It also proved that true innovation often comes from unexpected places. Like us? Maria asked hopefully. Exactly like you, Elena confirmed. Some of the best ideas come from people who directly experience the problems we're trying to solve. Your perspectives are invaluable. As the workshop continued, Elena's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. She glanced at it, then smiled. It was Alexander Vance, the saboteur, writing from federal detention. Ms. Martinez, I've had time to reflect on my actions. Your response that night, turning my attack into a demonstration of superior design, was masterful. I'm serving my sentence by teaching cybersecurity to law enforcement, helping them understand how integrated building systems can be both vulnerable and self-protecting. I'd like to thank you for not just stopping me, but for showing me a better path forward. Elena typed a quick response. The best security systems don't just defend, they transform threats into opportunities for growth. Good luck with your teaching. That evening, Paradise Lounge hosted its first Innovation Night, an event Elena had suggested to Dominic. The VIP section was open to local inventors, artists, and entrepreneurs who normally could never afford entry. The traditional elite members were there too, but now they mingled freely, conversations sparking between tech CEOs and community activists, between fashion designers and engineering students. Brittany Lawson stood talking with Maria, the teenager, from Elena's workshop about sustainable fashion design. Derek Walsh was deep in conversation with a local architect about adaptive reuse of abandoned buildings. The security team, led by Marcus, facilitated connections rather than creating barriers. Elena arrived late, deliberately keeping a low profile. She wore the same simple black dress from that fateful night, paired with the same worn boots. But this time, heads turned in recognition and respect, not mockery. Dominic found her by the Crystal Room's entrance. You know, we could name this room after you. The Martinez Gallery has a nice ring to it. Elena shook her head. Buildings shouldn't be monuments to their creators. They should serve their communities. Speaking of which, I have a proposal for you. She pulled out her tablet, showing him plans for a new project. What if Paradise Lounge sponsored architectural workshops for underprivileged youth? We could use the club's systems as teaching tools, showing how high-end design principles can solve community problems. Dominic's eyes widened as he scrolled through the proposal. This is ambitious, but after what I've witnessed, I'd be foolish to doubt anything you suggest. Let's do it. Across the room, conversations were happening that would have been impossible just weeks before. The artificial barriers of wealth and status were dissolving, replaced by genuine exchanges of ideas and perspectives. The Paradise Lounge had transformed from an exclusive enclave into a hub of innovation and inclusivity. A year later, the anniversary of the Paradise Lounge incident was marked by the opening of the Martinez Innovation Center, a community space funded by the club's profits and designed by Elena herself. The building incorporated all the lessons from that night: systems that protected while remaining open, security that assessed intent rather than appearance, and spaces that adapted to serve multiple community needs. The opening ceremony drew an unexpected crowd. Alexander Vance, now released and working as a legitimate security consultant, attended with law enforcement officials he had trained. Derek Walsh came with his architecture class, eager to study the building's integrated systems. Brittany Lawson arrived with her family's board of directors, ready to announce funding for similar centers in other cities. Elena stood at the podium, looking out at the diverse crowd. A year ago, I was nearly thrown out of a building I had designed. That moment of misunderstanding became a catalyst for change, not just for me, but for everyone involved. It taught us that innovation doesn't always arrive in expected packages, that wisdom doesn't always wear expensive clothes, and that true security comes from understanding, not exclusion. The audience applauded, but Elena wasn't finished. This center represents what's possible when we look beyond surface appearances. Every system in this building, from the water recycling to the solar panels to the community workshop spaces, is designed to serve everyone. Because the best architecture doesn't just house people, it elevates them. As the ceremony continued, the story of that night at Paradise Lounge had become legend in architectural and social circles. Universities added it to their curricula as a case study in systemic bias and integrated design. Business schools used it to teach about authentic leadership and the dangers of superficial judgment. But perhaps the most significant change was in the small, daily interactions throughout Miami. Security guards at other venues began looking closer at behavior rather than clothing. Restaurants started valuing interesting conversations over designer labels. The city's social fabric was rewoven, with threads of curiosity replacing assumptions. Ricardo, now managing 3 establishments, implemented Elena's principles in each one. We train our staff to see potential, not just purchasing power, he explained to new hires. The person who changes your entire worldview might walk in wearing boots that have seen better days. Marcus had left Paradise Lounge to start his own security consulting firm, specializing in what he called intelligent assessment protocols. His company's motto, security through understanding, not assumption. The ripple effects continued to spread. Other cities invited Elena to consult on their public buildings. Her approach, creating structures that were both technologically advanced and deeply human-centered, began influencing architectural trends worldwide. 5 years after that night, Paradise Lounge remained Miami's premier venue, but for different reasons. It was no longer just a place to see and be seen. It had become a symbol of transformation. The Crystal Room, site of the near disaster, was now used for innovation workshops where young designers learned to integrate sustainability with luxury. Elena continued to dress simply, continued to observe her buildings from ground level, continued to believe that the best designs served everyone. But now, when she entered her creations, she was recognized not by her clothes, but by the quiet confidence of someone who had changed how people saw the world. On the 5th anniversary of the incident, Paradise Lounge hosted a special event. The original security footage played on screens throughout the venue, not to shame anyone, but to celebrate how far everyone had come. Derek Walsh, now a successful sustainable architect, laughed at his younger self's arrogance. Brittany Lawson, whose family's company had revolutionized pharmaceutical facility design, shook her head at her past superficiality. Elena stood with Dominic, watching the crowd. "Do you ever regret how it happened?" he asked. "The public humiliation, the chaos?" Elena smiled, her eyes scanning the diverse group of people connecting throughout the space. Every building has stress tests. Sometimes they come from storms, sometimes from saboteurs, sometimes from our own prejudices. The question isn't whether we face challenges, it's how we respond to them. She gestured to the transformed space around them. That night tested more than just water pumps and security systems. It tested our assumptions about worth, about belonging, about who gets to contribute to society's advancement. And in the end, we didn't just fix the building, we fixed something fundamental in how we see each other. As the evening progressed, a young architect approached Elena. She wore thrift store clothes and carried a portfolio of revolutionary designs for affordable housing. Security welcomed her warmly, and established architects gathered to examine her work with genuine interest. Elena watched this interaction with satisfaction. This was the true legacy of that night. Not the viral videos or the architectural fame, but the simple truth that innovation could come from anywhere, dressed in any fashion, carrying wisdom in unexpected forms. The Paradise Lounge incident had become more than just a story about mistaken identity or class prejudice. It had evolved into a parable about the dangers of surface judgments and the power of systems thinking. It reminded people that the most elegant solutions often came from those who had been overlooked, that the most sophisticated designs served everyone, and that true luxury lay not in exclusivity, but in the elevation of human potential. As Elena left the anniversary celebration, she passed the entrance where it had all begun. A new plaque had been installed, bearing words she had written, "Excellence recognizes itself, regardless of its attire. Welcome all who contribute, challenge, and create." The city lights reflected off the building's surface, and somewhere in the structure's depths, water flowed through perfectly calibrated systems, security protocols protected without prejudicing, and the building itself stood as testament to what was possible when vision trumped vanity. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.